All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It's the 31st of October, and here we are. So, it's been a great ride so far in the IT sector study group with all these wonderful community members, each bringing different kinds of strengths and interesting inputs into the study. So today's company is, I think it's a surprise factor for a lot of us because many of us may not have
Yes.
even heard about, because when I inquired in the community, many had not heard about Persistent. And they go to say that they see beyond and rise above. And today's presentation is by me and Shelly. Shelly and I are nocturnal birds, and I would request everybody to go on mute, please. We shall not persist until everybody goes on mute. Some puja is happening, so maybe it's a good thing. Uh, okay, it was Nilu. All right. Yeah, so maybe the bells rang at the right time, and this could maybe maybe become the company that makes all of us millionaires or billionaires. Okay, a little bit about how Shelly and I persisted with this company with a lot of hard work. We continued to meet. So she and I we do night shifts, and we used to meet around 1 a.m. That used to be our usual time, and it's been fun studying this with her. Now, like most of you, I personally didn't know about persistent, but why I continued to persist with persistent is because of what we found. So initially, when we started with the sector study, one second, sector study. So we all took up different roles, and we went into every direction to see whatever we could find. And I was studying the mutual fund holdings of various companies, or how much. And at that point, when we began the study, what caught our attention was persistent, held in the month of July, or whatever updated figures were available. It held 21%. Okay. And there were other companies like Cyient, and which held about, I think, 19%. But this one was the maximum in its peer group. So which is, and from there on you can see that as of latest information available, it is, the DIIs, the mutual funds, have a holding of 28.9%. So it has been increasing since then as well. So, and there's been a lot of news also around persistent systems, and which is why we got really interested. Then we pursued with studying this particular company, and whatever we have found out through our study so far, we bring that to you today. Okay, so how many of you think that such a huge percentage of holding is great for a company? uh, you can put in the chat box if you'd like to know more about this company. Is it encouraging when you see a number like 28%? Okay, so Jyoti, Riddhima, everybody's sure. Madhumati saying, not sure, dekhna hai. Yes, Madhu. Okay, you are curious, Kushali. Certainly. Okay, so let's dive in and know more about persistent systems. So over to my friend Shelly, who's going to take us through the management team who's behind what's going on in the company.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheetal. Um, so when the founder, who's Anand Deshpande, returned to India, he had gone outside and he had gone to US for his PhD. He was inspired, by N. Vittle's call to establish software export business in India. That was 30 years ago, and that was the start of the persistent journey. The early years were very difficult. Funds were limited. India was not known for software communication infrastructure. At that time was very poor, and there was no internet. However, uh, uh, and we are constantly going to keep reiterating this, that with grit and tenacity and support, that Anand Deshpande's family and friends showed towards him, and as a person himself, he's a very towering personality. I mean, through what we have been reading, he comes across as a very towering personality, and I think it was his persistence, to establish Persistent, that this company came into being. So, so Persistent has enjoyed early success working with database companies, but it was a small project from Microsoft in 1992 that proved to be a turning point, giving the small team the confidence to begin approaching other leading technology companies. So Red Brick System and HP were early supporters, and they continue to be so. They continue to be Persistent's customers. So the advent of the internet in mid 90s spurred innovations and new opportunities for Persistent to build a bouquet brand as a technology provider. Now, on that note, and building up some more curiosity, if we move on to the next slide, Sheetal, um, while I had done between me and Sheetal, we have done a lot of extensive research about the company and Dr. Anand Deshpande, but we also happen to come across a video that gives a much more in-depth understanding of what the company really stands for and how it really evolved, and where it is today. So I think we'll go on to that video without much further ado, and spend a few minutes there.
In fact, I think this morning, Rochelle or someone had shared the video
Right.
in the group. So if anybody had the opportunity of watching it, that's great. If you have not had the time, then we will watch it now. Can you all see the screen? I'm going to play the video.
Yeah, I can see. Sheetal.
Okay. Playing it for sound check. Shelly, let me know if it's playing.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
When N. Vittal, Secretary of the Department of Electronics, called on individuals working in the US to set up software export companies in India, Anand Deshpande, who was working with HP Labs in the US after completing his PhD, was inspired to return to India and start something of his own. While in the US, Anand asked his father, Dada Deshpande, to incorporate a company on his behalf. On May 30th, 1990, Persistent was formally incorporated. That was 30 years ago and the start of the Persistent journey. It took a long time to get things set up. It wasn't easy, and the infrastructure posed a major challenge. Finally, we secured our first working space in March 1991 at Software Technology Park at Bhosri, a small 350 square foot office, which is where it all began. Persistent was the first company to be incorporated as a part of STPI. Our first contract was with GIP Altair 2 Technologies, a French company focused on object databases.
When Anand started Persistent Systems, he called me and told me about his new company. I really liked the idea that he went back to his country and start there rather than stay in the US and become an American like everybody else. So I had some budget for subcontracting in my organization, and we needed some work done. I'm actually not totally sure what the topic was. I think it was either testing a piece of software or porting it onto a new environment. So it was a well-defined project, and I think this was the first contract Persistent Systems ever signed.
Persistent enjoyed early success working with database product companies. This was no accident. After all, Anand had worked in the database area during his PhD. It was a small project from Microsoft in 1992 that proved to be a turning point, giving the small team the confidence to begin approaching other leading technology companies. While these companies have also evolved, they continue to be our customers. The advent of the internet in the mid-90s spurred innovation and new opportunities for Persistent to build a boutique brand as a technology provider. We moved very quickly from Bhosri into the city at Senapati Bapat Road, Pune in 1994, setting up Kapil Vastu. After moving to the new office, we started looking at hiring fresh graduates from IIT Bombay and other leading colleges around Pune. During those early years, we put special efforts into building the right company culture. To embrace sound corporate governance practices, we brought independent directors on the board and started contributing 1% towards community development, building training and learning programs for employees, entering into technical collaborations with top research universities, and hosting international conferences such as VLDB. The company continued to grow slowly and steadily, with our team reaching 100 employees in 1999. This was the first time for a lot of change when we also announced the ESOP plan. Towards the end of 1999, we also received our first external investor, Intel 64 Fund. That year, the company's revenue crossed the 10 crore mark. In 2001, as the market started to come back up again, it was important for us to become focused. It was then decided that Persistent would not jump on the IT outsourcing bandwagon and instead focus on product development and product outsourcing. We were soon clearly recognized as leaders in that space. The 2000s were a time for rapid growth for us. This was the time we constructed a lot of our office building that later became iconic in the city's landscape. In addition to Panini, which was already operational since 1998, we constructed Bhagirath in 2001 and Aryabhatta Pingala. We also expanded beyond Pune with centers in Goa and Nagpur. Also, during this time, we reached 1,000 employees and our revenue crossed the 100 crore mark. Our rapid growth caught the attention of Norwest Venture Partners and Gabriel Venture Partners, two leading Silicon Valley venture capital firms who invested in Persistent. Working with leading software companies also helped us stay on top of the new technologies, which in turn enabled us to successfully predict and invest in technology trends like cloud, analytics, collaboration, and mobility, disrupting technologies that would redefine the markets in the years to come. Innovation has always been a key aspect of our work right from our early days, and this was reinforced by the NASSCOM Innovation Award that we received in 2008. During this period of growth, we realized that we had value to provide not just to product companies, but also to the companies who were using these products. As the market started to recover from the global financial crisis, we recognized that our clients were quite keen on us, helping them work with their client ecosystems. This led to our partnerships with IBM and Salesforce that helped broaden our footprint from product development to implementing technology solutions. By this time, our contributions towards NGOs as part of our social responsibility were starting to grow quite substantially. We saw the need for a formalized, structured approach to CSR to ensure long-term investments, continuity, and impact across all our community initiatives. With this in mind, the Persistent Foundation was set up in 2009 and introduced programs across education, healthcare, and community development. Persistent became one of the first IPOs in the Indian market after the global financial crisis. It was an overwhelming success, helping to establish Persistent as a global brand. Being a listed company now, Persistent began to get noticed. 2010 to 2019 was a period of global expansion, which involved setting up centers around the world and ushering in a global outlook. As we successfully completed the IPO, our team crossed the 5,000 employee mark and revenue also crossed 1,000 crores. By 2016, digital disruption had forced every business to reevaluate their business models and evolve to become robust and agile. Digital transformation was about becoming a software-driven business. Persistent strength in building products for software companies put us in a unique position to respond to the market's needs as customers began the journey of digital transformation. Today, Persistent has evolved into a multifaceted company. While still a trusted partner for product development, we become a global solutions company that delivers a digital business acceleration and modernization for enterprises. We are helping our clients tackle the complexity of choice and integration inherent in today's technology landscape by creating digital mosaics, multi-cloud, multi-service business architecture, and composable tiles that together deliver the working applications and processes needed in an enterprise. We are cultivating best-in-class partnerships that form the tiles of the digital mosaic and deliver differentiated value to our clients. Complete with new management and a global team of over 10,600 employees, we are well positioned to capture the opportunity in this new environment. As we enter 2020, we face an unprecedented opportunity to help our clients, employees, and society thrive amidst one of the toughest global crises faced in the last century.
Great. So there's going to be a bit of follow up on all what we saw in the video in the coming slides, just to strengthen what we saw in terms of our understanding and knowledge. A quick view of the corporate governance board of directors. I think they're pretty well placed. I could not find, any specific issues that might have come up due to governance or related issues, or and also they have the usual governance policies in place, like any other IT company. They seem to be pretty transparent, and Sheetal came across a very interesting point. Sheetal, would you want to take the team through here through that point?
Yeah, so one of the things, a couple of things that when I was looking at the different ARs from different years and how, and it grows to be because, with the kind of study we have done and such extensive study we've put in, maybe we are able to see more things now, right? It could be that. Um, but with regards to how the other members are related to the key personnel in the company, those were clearly stated. And I had seen in other ARs as well, of other companies, where they do mention how people are related. So that was seen here as well. For example, we found how we were looking at the remuneration, and a certain Mr. Adar Deshpande, who happens to be his brother, I think it was Mukund Deshpande. And I could see that a lot of remuneration, so from the previous year, he got about 8 crores. And then this year, latest AR shows he has got about 14 crores. And then I got thinking, where is this person in this whole picture? And why is he getting so much money? Um, but I think with whatever items they had put in, it seems that the person is part of the promoter group and he has this shareholding as part of his remuneration. So that's what I could find. But that also told me how they're very transparent. Another thing I saw was they have mentioned things like there's a pending litigation that's on due to export incentive litigation, and how much uh, uh, and how we came across that information. This is also so that for other members who uh, study stocks. So I found something called contingent liabilities. Now, what is contingent liability based on what they had said? And my understanding is that where they sort of, put something in liability where it's not, they expect because of a case that is on, that in case there's a certain damage that is caused in terms of financials, then we assess it as this much as a liability. So in case tomorrow something happens and we have to pay, then we know that this is a projected figure that we can see. That's the basic understanding I got. But it also went on to show how they are very, at least to me, it seemed like transparent. If anybody else has also, through your study of various ARs, if you have found similar items, then we can take it as this is maybe a standard practice for everybody to, give these details out. So that way I was really happy. And I'll just go back to Mr. Deshpande. Some of the other things I questioned as I was trying to understand this man, because throughout my study, I also felt like this is a company he started. And so far, the large companies that we've studied have been companies where, like Wipro, when I studied, a 75-year-old company, now the son has become the successor. And with Mr. Deshpande, it's his own company, and this is a mid cap. And I would want to remind you guys, even as you go through this study with us today, that it's a mid cap company and may not be follow the same. We may not see the same patterns as we're used to seeing. So even through our study, Shelly and I had to keep reminding ourselves that okay, this is mid cap. We may have to look at it differently. Okay, so just putting it out there. And something about him, yeah, so it's his company that he started, right? So he is still at the helm of things, and still he is still doing things. And something that has caught my attention is which Shelley had also mentioned through our study, is how at the beginning, he would he would meet people through networking events, and he would call them and speak to them about the various CEOs of other companies, and pitching up services that his company offers. So from there I could see how he is really invested, and it is his baby. But at the same time, it has been 30 years, and the company has now touched 500 million mark, and it says that it projects to reach a 1 billion mark. And somewhere one of the articles also mentioned how the ex employees of the companies have said that okay, but its peers have have moved much ahead. What is it that has taken this company so long? They are just reaching a mark of 500 million, and this year they complete 30 years. And this is the in the recent quarterly report, they've said that it's the first time they've celebrated touching a 1,000 crore mark, right? In a quarter as a revenue. So in the recent times we're making these progress, and this is how the journey in bits and pieces we have understood. So I'm just sharing so that these points are not missed, because this may become critical in you assessing at the end of today's presentation. If you'd be more interested to know about this company, and would you like to keep it in your watch list or invest already, right? So I wanted to just add those points so that they're not skipped. Over to you, Shelley. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheetal, for reiterating that we are looking at a mid cap company and not a large cap. And I think by Sheetal, the company moved through different years. We were questioning it at every stage, and we might have done more questioning than anybody. I mean, if you probably would read, we could probably cover that aspect as well. I mean, the kind of questioning that we got into. But just to also add on to that point when Sheetal said that Anand Deshpande met a lot of CEOs of other companies to understand what is that what is the thought process at that point of time. What are the CEOs really looking for, right? So he comes across as a very hands-on leader. He wants to understand what is the pulse of the business, of the market, how he can get involved, how can he be on the top of the mind, top three things that might be in the mind of the CEO. He wanted to be there. I think that's what his thought process was. And just before we move ahead, there is this constant and in a lot of articles we have seen Anand Deshpande really talking about it, the S curve. So he talks about these four S curves in the business. The first S curve basically is about when the company has just started and it's in its it's founder driven, it's in its very initial days. That's the first S, the early years of the company. The second S that this company really went through was in 2002, which was a period of Y2K. All of a sudden when the market started to come back, the offshoring was a hot word. But like we saw in the video, uh, you know they basically decided to go with outsourced product development, while most of the other companies were doing IT outsourcing. So that what made the outsourced product development different? And why was it really different? Because in an IT project you have well defined requirements and you do trade offs between time and money. But in product development, shipping date is fixed and there are reiterations, right? um, so persistent systems also decided to do full product lifecycle, and Anand believed that for a small company it's better to be focused on, focused on and be very clear about what it's doing. um, and as per him, he says, there is only room for top 3 to 4 players. And if you're able to define the market, uh, if you're able to define the market small enough that's segmented for you, then you have better chance of winning. So that's the thought process from where he comes from. And that's what really they did, right? They exclusively were into product development. It was a product development company, and that really helped in getting the business. The third test really came in 2007 2008, and that's the time when Anand met these 100 to 150 CEOs who were his customers when the market was down. And he met them and he realized that that as an outsourced product development company, customers did not see Persistent as a very significant relevant player. Even after doing business with them for 5 to 7 years, they were thinking differently. And hence these aspects kind of, yeah, he started making a note of it, that how can he be on the top of the mind for these CEOs? How can he deliver of what they want? And at that point, he realized that in order to expand his business and focus beyond product engineering, he needs to, he basically needs to come up with with different offerings, and basically taking products and deploying them. So that's what he started doing. The fourth S was a software 4.0, which was in 2014. So Anand saw that every company was becoming a product company, and there were discussions around software eating the world, right? So Anand met Mr. M.R. Rangaswamy. He's a co-founder of Sandhill Group, who eventually helped Persistent build the narrative around digital transformation, and that's where we'll be heading to, and that's where the company is now into, heavily invested into digital transformation. So um, and basically came up with a few concepts around, 4 eyes, and he kind of stuck to those 4 eyes. um, so he spoke about insights, he spoke about integration, and he spoke about intelligence, and he kind of used them as a base for the new business propositions that he had in mind. So if we move to the next slide, yeah, uh, I think it's important to address the elephant in the room, and I'm not sure how many of you have really been hearing about the management changes that Persistent had in the last few years. While they might not be at a CEO level, apart from the recent exit that we saw of Christopher O'Connor, but they are of very senior executives. So what really led to all of this? So the idea here is to understand the various changes the company went through. What were the mindset changes? What were the strategic moves that the company made that really, had people moving or exiting the company, after staying there for 1 to 2 years or 2 to 3 years. And we saw some very old tenured people also moving out of the organization. Um, so the company in 2017 wanted to boost growth, and they wanted to cross $500 million, and through keeping that in mind, they introduced a new organization structure. Now this structure basically was divided into services, digital, alliance, and accelerate. So services was mainly product engineering. Digital worked on digital platforms such as Salesforce. Alliance was working with IBM on products to sell products to clients and kind of share part of royalties. And Accelerate was, they were buying end of life products and upgrading uh, those products and selling them. So this is how the segregation happened in 2017. So this alliance that they had with IBM led them to hire Anshul Verma, right? So we see Anshul Verma here as global head of sales, who exited in 2018. At that point of time, the company was of a viewpoint that the business is shifting, and we also have to, add different kind of leaderships here, and they need to be more customer focused. So that was a thought process that the company had. Um, at the time when they started Accelerate, Dean Hamilton was hired to manage Accelerate, with specifically the IoT business, Internet of Thing business, and Rajesh Ramchandani joined as GM for Cloud. So the service at this time, the service business growth was just matching that of industry. However, they had promised that there's going to be equitable growth seen across all their four structures, which was not what the market was seeing. They could see, while the services business growth was not really, was just kind of matching. Uh, uh, they did not see good growth in digital, accelerate and services, as good as they had kind of predicted or promised. So persistence overall revenue was contracting quarter on quarter. Services and IBM revenues were dipping. Digital and Accelerate business were growing, but they were kind of panning it out. At this juncture, analysts were given, kind of vague answers by Mr. Deshpande, saying that once revenue growth picks up, margins would take care of itself. So 2000, that brought them into the era of 2018, and that was a period of change, and they were really trying to claw back margins and grow. And then they again had another change in strategy. They started focusing on growth in Europe, and due to that, they started delaying salary increases, which kind of provided them temporary support to margins. Um, and at this point of time, they merged services and digital units into technology services. And they brought in Atul Khandelkar for managing delivery, and Sudhir Kulkarni, who we see in the grid, for managing sales. Uh, that year and next, which is 2018 and 19, there were a lot of exits, right? The senior executives came in and they left. So some of the senior executives were purely brought in to steer the company through troubled time. And in some of the analyst calls, Anand Deshpande would attribute these exit to strategy changes. So I think the company was still kind of moving up. They were trying to figure out what they're trying to do, and in that process, there were a lot of people who came in. There were a lot of executives who left. So I mean, that's where and the recent exit has been of Christopher Connor, who has been who is now, his position is now being taken over by Sandeep Kalra, who in fact incidentally was brought in by Chris O'Connor only, right? So when Chris joined in, he also got Sandeep Kalra as president of technology services into Persistent. So now Sandeep Kalra has taken the position of Christopher Connor, and he's purely 100% responsible for technology services. At this point of time, like we read here, so basically he takes care of services and digital units, and he's Accelerate is also part of the overall technology services. So he's collectively responsible for overall technology services, to say so. So a few interesting facts of 2020. Sheetal has already touched upon a few. The company has crossed a 10,000 employee mark. They have exceeded $500 million in revenue for first time, and first time touched 1,000 crores in the recent quarter. They also celebrated 30 years of incorporation on May 30th. And typically, the quarter one was led by BFSI, and we see this as one of the primary industries that gives them a lead, and it continues to be a standout, as does cloud. So that's the current state. Um, on the service lines, the company has the digital business strategy, CX innovation, and optimization, which is um, primarily this comes the support comes through Salesforce here. digital product engineering, core IT modernization, data driven business and intelligence, and identity access and privacy. I know big words, I'll take you through them in the next slide. So the industries that really they are catering to are bank, BFSI, industrial, healthcare, life sciences, and software and high tech. All right. Before I start giving a quick perspective into all of these, just want to address what is digital transformation. So, just a quick question thrown out to all of you out there. What is your understanding of digital transformation? In very simple, as how you understand it today.
This is a real test for all the ones who have been attending and as well as all the ones who've been studying. What is your
Right.
understanding of digital transformation? Okay, okay. AL, ML, cloud,
Yeah.
page, yes, right back at you.
Right. Right. Automating manual processes. Great. Yes. So, I think one aspect of digital transformation could be a concept of going paperless, right? Then cloud computing could be another one. Any other examples that come to your mind, folks who are responding on chat? IoT.
To me, digital transformation is also, where when I work on my laptop and in a second my friend gets to see it wherever in the world she is, right? Or I can quickly view it on my mobile
Yes,
phone, something that I've just uploaded here. I think, yeah.
absolutely. I think we have a lot of examples. So thank you everybody for chiming in. So very quickly on what is the digital business strategy service that persistent persistence is providing, right? So uh, obviously we know that businesses are looking at seamless digital experiences, and technology has to be in the backbone of these experiences. So company needs a clear strategy and vision to respond to the customer needs. This requires a digital business strategy that leverages latest technologies and helps the client discover new business models to deliver enhanced customer value. So they are able to do this through two by two ways, through design and innovation, and by providing technology advisory services. Um, so on digital product engineering, right, they are basically able to bring the expertise, the operating models, the technology which is required to design, architect, develop, and manage the product lifecycle end to end, uh, which helps in in delivering efficiencies, speed to market, innovation, right, and differentiation in the competitive market. And they're doing through this through three different offerings, which is innovation and acceleration, product development, and sustenance and support. The CX innovation and optimization, like I said, is mainly driven by Salesforce offerings. And as a trusted Salesforce Platinum partner for 12 years, Persistent has been a leader in designing, implementing, and driving transformational customer experiences. Um, and their team excels in CX transformation, industry solutions, a CX platform integration, Salesforce cloud implementation, customer analytics across the Salesforce ecosystem. So these are some of the offerings that they're able to provide through Salesforce. Data driven business and intelligence, basically they help business become data driven so that the business can anticipate any market changes and adapt quickly by leveraging data to introduce new product and services, right, optimize cost, streamline processes. And very aptly this has been done through AI and ML, machine learning and artificial intelligence, enterprise data strategy, and they have a few more offerings here, like data stack modernization and enterprise and data integration. And then identity, access, and privacy. So here, um, uh, these are the new focal points of enterprise security and digital transformation. um, Automated identity, access, and privacy operations and processes uh, is where Persistent is able to help the clients for ensuring a secure business ecosystem. Right. On core IT modernization, the enterprises must continuously modernize IT infrastructure, right, and applications to keep up with their customers or their employees and their stakeholder expectation. But the major challenge would come from legacy infrastructures, or holding back innovation um, due to complexity and integration, which might be difficult because of the legacy infrastructure which exists in the ecosystem for the client. So that's where they're able to help in modernizing the core IT structure of the client. I hope I'm able to explain, uh, and you guys are able to understand. So this they have been able to do through intelligent business automation, through cloud and infrastructure, and through their own managed services.
A quick
Uh,
time check, Shelly. We have 15 minutes.
Okay. Products, the two main products we spoke about was Accelerate and IBM Alliance. And The industries that they're catering to are BFSI, healthcare and life sciences, industrial and software and high tech. We have a link here, and because of the lack of time, otherwise we would have got into it and gone through at least one example for each one of the industries and what are the offerings by Persistent. Do go through them in your, at your leisure. So we can move on to the next one. Yeah, these are the worldwide locations. Quick revenue-wise contribution by region. It's definitely dominated majorly by North America's. 81% of its revenue comes from there, which is followed by Europe and then by India, and then lastly by rest of the world. Okay. Okay. Um, so their top 10 client contributes to about 49% of their revenue. They're trying to bring this down. Obviously, there's a threat if any of the top clients moves out, it has a direct impact on the revenue. The revenue contribution by segment is primarily coming from tech companies and emerging verticals, and then followed by BFSI. A little perspective into their delivery centers. Majority of the delivery center revenue is from India, followed by global development centers. And this is what we spoke about, right? This is the technology service section, which is now merged with services and digital, and Accelerate contributes to 77%, and the remaining comes from Alliance, which is in collaboration with IBM. Right. Okay. So we have very less time, but just wanted to take you through the strategic and partner ecosystem, because there's a lot of focus on this. Their way ahead, or their current or future offering of the digital mosaic lies heavily or relies heavily on their strategic and partner ecosystem. The Persistent partner ecosystem brings together companies of all domains, sizes, and geographies to create a profitable environment for their clients. Um, and the company basically continues to establish strong partnership with leaders in the market. They have pioneers, they have pioneered the notion of digital mosaic, which I was told is something that most of the IT companies now have. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that they have pioneered it, right? The whole concept of digital mosaic, right, to define new solutions in the marketplace and reduce time to value of for the customers. It places emphasis on the partner ecosystem majorly. So Persistent has a strong relationship with Salesforce. We've gone through that, and over the years, and has maintained Salesforce has been able to maintain its platinum partner status. And they have so Persistent has also further strengthened its position with the acquisition of European Salesforce consulting partner Uperience. And together with Park's acquisition made in prior years, Persistent has an exceptional ability to serve Salesforce customers globally, right? Because that's the USP of Uperience. And IBM continues to be a strong partner, and its acquisition of Red Hat opens new opportunities for Persistence to grow further, leveraging its offerings that Red Hat has. And they've also been able to establish partnership with ThoughtSpot and Matillion in the data and analytics space, and Automation Anywhere in the intelligent business section and app modernization area. And also they have strengthened partnership with OutSystems. Okay. um, so just wanted to point out a few aspects from here, the so some of the critical partnerships that they have been holding on to. And we do see a strategic partner and a partner ecosystem. My understanding here is a bit limited, but this was after me and Minal were discussing. It seems like the strategic partners are the partners who supply products to each other, and the partner ecosystem is mainly where the partners are kind of complementing each other, complement each other of the required products and services that a Persistent might need to cater to its clients. Okay, so all right, over to you, Sheetal.
Thanks, Shelley. Thanks. So as you can see, there have been quite a few number of mergers and acquisitions. Okay. Um, Here, this is from their latest annual report where we're looking at, how their subsidiaries are earning income for them. Something that we try to look at, but not consistently available, are what each of these subsidiaries are into. We have been able to find for a couple of them, but not for all of them, because some of those links, they circle back to the main Persistent website. I think financials is what people would be interested in looking at. So we can see here that over the years, the data available is only from 2011. And we can see that they have seen a nice rise profit-wise. Its been number has been growing, but the profit growth percentage, the orange line that you see, may not have been in the recent times, especially may not have been as high as we would have liked to see, although the company itself has been bringing in profit each year. Okay. Okay. So in some of the annual reports that we saw, the latest one that we picked up, the CFO has mentioned how the impact has been due to lower IP-led revenue and also investment made in sales and marketing. And sales and marketing, the previous CEO also highlighted how they would like to focus more on sales and marketing. That's what he mentioned. And I also looked at why mutual funds are investing so much in it. And Parag Parekh mutual fund, which is another buzzing one, also mention how Persistent Systems needs to focus on sales. That's the only one line that I saw there, that they had mentioned. Okay, so the information I gather is, okay, they may have great services to offer, but maybe great sales not happening. So could that be a reason? Could that be how they could further, bring more profitability into their business? Um, More money into the business. Okay, return on capital employed, on an average, we can see that it's been pretty good and meets our benchmark of 18%. Honestly, I would like to go back and look more into the profit growth percentage and see if there's more information. I don't think I've been able to do justice to this study, But you guys could tell me in the chat if there is a need for me to dig deeper, and if there are certain questions, or if it even makes sense to find out how they have been, and dig out through all the annual reports. Okay, so let me know in the chat. This was like learning how to draw. So you can see that the revenue versus total expenditure uh, going parallel to each other. And like most IT companies, its maximum expense comes from employees. And the employee count has also been increasing. And this year they touched 10,800 mark. Then we looked at the free cash flow to firm, again, something that we look at very closely. How is the company, how much cash is it keeping? Then we particularly focused on 2017. Oh, what really happened there? And when we dug deeper into it, then we saw how the previous year it had kept a lot of cash. There wasn't a lot of investing that happened that year, but in the following year, they made their biggest expenditure in in capital expenditure of 218. They also acquired a certain company that year. So that's what, so it went on to, at least for me, to show that okay, so the previous year they had a lot of cash on hand, and then the following year they went on to invest it in the right direction. This company has also been giving pretty good dividend, and in a certain year I saw that they had given up to uh, 8 rupees as interim dividend, and this year they gave the maximum, maybe because they are celebrating their 30th year in business. So this is what, this is how it looks like at this point for them. Again, we had to consistently remind ourselves that we have to ensure that it's a mid-cap company that we're studying. When I first looked at their borrowings, I couldn't believe it. I had to double check because I saw like single digit number, okay, 1 crore with maximum being 5 crores. But somewhere when we were in the study, I saw that how they've had their partners also invest, fund their business, invest in their business in the partnership, right? Goes on to show more trust that the partners have. And when I inquired, is it an extraordinary thing? Of course, Smita said that it is quite common to see this happening in the IT sector, at least, where the partners they work with can also invest in them. Okay. Um the share price rise has been pretty good. Of course, in the recent time, most of the IT sector companies have seen really great rise in the share price. So that's what we get to see for this particular company as well. Okay. Um, I would be really interested to know what questions, especially with regard to the financials, would you like us to check for a mid cap company like Persistent? And I'm happy to take them back as food for thought and come back to you with more information. Okay. So when you look at these numbers, last year, this question is for you. When you look at these numbers, or at least what I'm showing on the screen, what are your thoughts? What are your initial thoughts?
Why are you turning the tables around, Sheetal? Abhi?
You are I consider you as an expert,
Nahi,
so just
nahi.
saying,
Nahi,
huh?
but what is it? Acha, this is the P&L profit growth.
हाँ,
ये ROC का.
हाँ, ये profit growth ही है ये, the one on the left that you see, pure
Right.
profit growth.
हाँ.
Then I didn't put this to compare or anything. It just happened that they came on the same slide.
Okay.
Yeah. But what are your thoughts looking at the?
So I mean, from what I heard and gathered from this beginning of the presentation is that it started like a pretty much like a startup in these world, and the growth was exponential in the initial years, which also is shown here. That I mean, 2011-12 में you said that the data is available, right? So I think the first few
Yeah.
years the profit rise is also great, and उसके बाद it started stabilizing, right? मतलब
Hmm.
growth है, but it is not much significant.
Hmm.
And I I mean, like what Shelly also said, that they have to focus on sales maybe to increase the profit, is what
Yeah,
comes to my mind. And
yeah.
ROC तो declining है अभी past few
Hmm.
years में. I don't know why the reasons are not
Hmm.
very indicative as yet, but I'll have to
Hmm.
look how the capital structure is. But debt का मुझे ये नहीं समझ आया कि 1-2 करोड़ ही तो borrow करना है तो किया ही क्यों उतना भी.
Ha. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
उनको
We don't know for
overdraft
what.
या कुछ होगा. I don't know what is the type of the arrangement they have with the bank. Is it a revolver or something? But
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
good that it is of low debt, but the returns are okay. Okay, I mean they're not too great, but returns are okay. I mean for a mid cap, yes, it is understood that it's fine, but
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
all I can gather. But why it has
Okay.
risen so much in the past few months? Is it just because of the IT push, or is there any other underlying reason?
For the yeah, so I have not been able to find anything significant as such, in the sense
Mm-hmm.
that there have been structural changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the new person coming in, with them categorically mentioning that they want to focus more on sales. That's happening with the kind of
Okay.
acquisitions they are doing, right? I think they are also focusing a lot on Europe. Something that stood out for me
Mm.
was in all the IT companies you would have heard Salesforce.
Yeah.
Then they did acquire a Salesforce company in Germany, which has an
Mm.
experience of 15 years already.
Mm.
So, okay, so they're really expanding. They're
Okay.
certainly focused or maybe on a certain and enterprise integration. By the way, yeah, the recent acquisitions have also focused mostly on enterprise integration. And again, it is another hot thing, right, where a lot of the systems are working in silos. And uh, and how integration is important at this point, and it is a key factor that a lot of IT companies are focusing on as well, because they want all these systems to be talking to each other. So they have also shifted focus to enterprise integration of late, is what I've gathered.
All
But
right.
yes, thank
That
you for
is
your
good.
questions. It allows us
Okay.
to go back with more
I
things
have
to.
more. Once everyone is done, then I'll jump in. Yeah,
Yes, yes, please,
yeah,
please.
I have
Yeah,
more.
thank
I'll
you.
just want to allow someone else also to ask questions.
Yes, and
Yeah,
I have the sheets as well that I could show to everybody at the end of this presentation. We're
sure,
gonna look at numbers, so from there more questions can come out like we had. Okay,
sure. That will be
so
great. Sheetal. Thanks.
yeah,
Thanks.
thanks. Shelly.
Yes, I was just responding to some questions in the Zoom chat in the meanwhile. So there were some questions around IP, IP led, and how many orders are there in the pipeline. So we would look into that information, but of what we have read, the pipeline is hot. They have quite a few contracts. The delivery is a bit slow, but they are, they have enough and more of what we have understood from all the articles and the calls that we have been able to listen to. We can get back to you more on that. So quickly on the SWOT, company is a low debt company. It has a zero promoter pledge. We have seen mutual fund increasing their shareholding quarter on quarter, which we saw on that was the initial slide that we began with. They re-engineered from AD service line in 2030 to the current six service lines for a more concentrated focus, and we went through them in the past slide. Um, they have been offering a bouquet of services through Mosaic, digital Mosaic. Um, they have extremely long customer relationships, right? We have seen them through Salesforce, Microsoft, HP. A strong industry domain combined with strong technology expertise, extremely hands-on leader, and they have experience and talent in professionals in technology. They pick up the best. Um, we have seen declining free net cash flow, and we've also seen promoters marginally decreasing their shareholdings, and that too, maybe in decimals. um, this has been a through and through one man show, and we have no line of sight of succession. Um, Relatives only involvement is as MF investors. Kids are still very young, so this is something which which comes across as a potential weakness. Opportunities are sales and marketing. Also, the market is shifting because there is effort for the same work is drastically becoming less. So the need is for higher productivity with reduced workforce. The second part is that the dynamics of small team and fast development, that's something that they might want to really work on, right? At this point of time, they are probably struggling with that. They need to migrate people's thinking to be more dynamic and responsive. On the threat piece, we did see that there have been a line of resignations from leadership team. There has been a constant shift in strategy model. The revenue concentration is mainly from US, which is about 81%, and that kind of makes the company vulnerable to changes in the regulations and currency volatility. And the revenue is also 50% of the revenue is coming from their top 10 clients. So that's what we have for SWOT. We did go through this. That digital mosaic is the next big thing that they have to offer, and they have been the pioneers in digital mosaic. Um, I also just wanted to give you a quick, I mean, just a very easy description about it. That what is it? So instead of focusing on one product, which is, for example, a tile, the company will build for the client. It will focus on helping the client build out the entire wall, with the requirement that the client has, some, or with the support that it can give directly to the client. Some tiles would be picked up from the partners, their strategic partners or their partner network, and maybe a few might come from the as a requirement from the customer himself, right? So basically, this new architecture will unlock flexibility, operational speed, give the client a freedom to pursue opportunities and growth well outside legacy value chains. And in this environment, the business and IT leaders can more effectively partner to create business value at a faster pace. Just a quick view on what have they been delivering, right, to their clients and creating future value. I will encourage you to go through this. This information is on the website itself. Okay, I wanted to spend a few quick, how much time do we? Already over time, so a few seconds here. Right, so basically on the company readiness, I had split this into three parts, right? One was an immediate response to pandemic, then recovery, and part two, next normal, and then the strategy. So the immediate response to pandemic is no different from what we would have seen in other companies, almost on the same lines, except they did this really fast in the first few days. um, on the recovery and part to next normal, because of what is they're not inability to predict what is happening at a macro level. They are basically trying to manage and maintain at a micro activity level to get good results. They're also tracking their customers, because they have a lot of customers who are startups and they are VC funded. So there's a lot of focus on them because of the current scenario. The VC funding could result in a bit of slowdown, which could result in a further slowdown in their future product development. On the strategy part, they are planning to continuing focus on North America and with the combined push to extend services in Europe, India, and Australia. And like we discussed, they are trying to enhance marketing to create thought leadership and develop partner channels and acquisition of new key partners. Um, Obviously, their focus is on transformation to a digital enterprise. They will continue to focus on banking and financial institutes, healthcare and life sciences, industrial markets, and software product companies. And the technology areas that they would focus on are data, cloud, security, IT modernization, customer experience, all the service lines that we spoke about, right? And they are continuously going to, they're expected to focus their spend on digital business more. So I believe this is our last slide, rest. Yes. Okay. So over to you, Sheetal, on your viewpoint.
Yeah, couple of, I'm sure everybody wants to know, Acha, will you be investing or not then? Right? Okay, I'm going to stop the presentation. Yeah, so the hot question is the $1 million question for which maybe you all came is, okay, will you be investing your money or not? So for me, I am certainly going to watch. It's already on my Google alert. So if anybody has been interested in persistent, then please set a Google alert for persistent systems. Okay. Um, I see that this person, my understanding is when I invest in a mid cap, it's my first time also reading it at this level. So the understanding I got is at this stage, am I investing more in the person, in the leadership than the company itself? Because the company is still establishing, is still trying to find where is it. And it seemed to me that Anand Deshpande, is a man who is, in his history, it is said that mm he when he went to the US to study, to get his PhD, to study further, then you could take so many years to do your PhD, right? And then how he fast forwarded it and completed in a shorter number of years, right? And then he came back to India and started this. He started this on his own. I also see somewhere that as a business person, he probably wanted to create a niche at that time, with so many other companies already doing so much in software and outsourcing. He wanted to, I think, for the longest time, stick to product development, right? And create himself as that, as this niche. uh, Maybe that's the struggle period, because it's only in the recent years that he has sort of moved on to, from being purely product led company to also other service offerings. So that's what I see. um, what else about this person? I can certainly see that this person is continue to run the business for the next so many years, because clearly he doesn't have any successor. But from where he was and to where he has brought his company, it seems like a very, very strong company to keep in our portfolio. So we will soon be also comparing it with another mid cap that we will be studying in the IT sector, that is Tata Elxsi, that's coming up. So for anybody who is looking at this point to move from just investing in large caps to mid caps, then you may want to look at the comparison closely. And I certainly feel that persistent is also a strong contender, and something that I think I would want to invest it in the near future. So that's where I am with persistent, and there's more to find out, and it wasn't really clear for a mid cap, um, right? But so far, whatever I found, it's a man that I'm really following for some time at least. What are his steps? What are his steps that he's taking? And something in the group we were discussing, when it's a mid cap, then we want to watch every move, maybe not so much the numbers may not really show right now, but this is what we're saying, maybe the strategy, what it is doing, but really watch it like a hawk, as I think Khoshali also mentioned somewhere here, right? So yeah, that's what about you, Shelly?
Yeah, to a great extent, I also agree to what you say, Sheetal. But just want to add, I am equally impressed by Anand Deshpande, and he's been much ahead of his time. He in fact spoke about SMAC, which is Social Mobile Analytics and Cloud, way back in 2008. and that later came in, the industry started focusing or started recognizing it in 2012. So he's way ahead, and I think that what kind of gives me the confidence to uh, you know uh, continuously track this company and eventually invest in it, just waiting for a little bit more of stability. But I'm 100, on the part where where their services or products are concerned. They're equipped with diverse portfolio of products. They have a strong distribution network. They have all the right partners in their ecosystem. They have efficient customer care culture. They are extremely employee focused, and they're carving new avenues in the software product industry for themselves. They are coming up with innovative products. um, I think, and also they have operational efficiency and strengthening of critical capabilities that is in place. So keeping all of those aspects in mind, this is definitely a company that is going to be I'm going to be in lookout for. I just need a little bit more, I just need to wait maybe a few more quarters, but I'm definitely there. I'm definitely there.
And Neelu has a question here. Neelu, I'd like to answer that. Okay, if you're new to investing, then stick to Priyanka. Okay, Neelu has asked. Okay, so I knew this question was gonna come up, right? That okay, if some company maybe looks like a strong mid cap company, do we want to invest or do we want to let go, say bye bye to the bus for now? Um, this is what I have to personally, okay, personally. The guidance is always that if we are new, then we continue to invest in large caps, right? Then for many of us who are maybe transitioning, have been around and have been studying and investing in large company, we want to transition to include mid caps, then consider the mid caps. And also for the others, I feel that if you are investing, if you just started like 2 months ago, but you think, oh, this is really good company, you want to invest it, well, invest at your own risk. We would still say, okay, for the 2 3 years, build your portfolio in large. But if you're investing, then again, further maybe go into the study and then invest at your own risk. Always, even that's the guidance for everybody. But we want to protect your money. We want you to protect your money, maybe. Okay. I do want to. There are a lot of questions. I love that you have so many questions. And for anybody who is interested in looking at the numbers that I said I will show. So here's, last year, are you still around?
Yes, hanging around.
Okay, so, okay, so this is the balance sheet over the years. Here's the income statement. Right. This is the revenue. They also did a, and then this is where I took out some of the, to make sense, I took this out. Now, what questions do you guys have for us to go back with?
Last year I had some questions, right? Left.
Nasa
Yeah.
left. Okay.
No.
No, she had some questions left to ask.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
left.
Yeah.
Yes, please. And for everybody else as well.
Yes.
So, if nobody's going first, so I'll go. Not particularly on the financials yet, because I think I'll have to play around with the Excel probably for a while before I put on my questions, except for the profit margin that I want to really look out for. I mean, how much margins they have. Apart from that,
Sheetal, you
two
can show
questions
her
I
the
have.
margin
One
sheet
thing
from
is,
the income sheet. There is the profit margin there on the right side. Yeah. Last year, can you
okay.
see at the bottom?
Um, yes. It's around 15, and then it declined to 10%.
Hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. And okay, but we'll have to go back and see how on the business side also, as in why the profit margins have reduced, and on the
Hmm.
customer side, I want to look at the retention and churn numbers because they have so much of concentration of revenue from their first 10 customers, right? Top 10 customers contribute to 50%. I want to see their retention
Hmm.
ratio. I mean, how are they able to retain them, and how long do their contracts last? That's one
Okay.
thing. And on the
Mm-hmm.
competition side, I know Jyoti had asked and you've answered that Mindtree and Tata Elxsi are their competitors. But
Hmm.
on the Salesforce side, especially, I want to know I mean, which other companies cater to Salesforce or play a major role in terms of being a Salesforce partner or something like that specifically, because that seems to be a standout point for this company. And I know a company which is also a preferred partner for Salesforce, which is
That's one.
Nagaro. I don't think it's public company, but it's private. I know because my cousin used to work there. But I want to see
Hmm.
which other players are there, which give tough competition when it comes to Salesforce. So this is
Mindtree has
something.
Salesforce as its preferred partner too.
Yeah.
Okay, Mindtree has. Okay.
Yeah.
And what percentage of revenue specifically come from Salesforce vis-a-vis Mindtree? Probably then I would like to look at
Hmm. But then again, last year, you know that
that.
maybe then we shouldn't look at just Salesforce as just one of the entities, right? Because and it stood out for
Mhm.
me because they acquired it in Germany in the German European expansion, and then okay, company which has had 15 years with them. Maybe that's why it was extraordinary for me.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think looking at the various subsidiaries, is that a way to go about it? Would that make
I don't
sense?
know. We'll have to see the future prospects of them. I mean, where they want to
Hmm.
focus more. है ना
Yeah.
ये भी देखना पड़ेगा एक
Yeah.
बार. So these things I want to see, and since it's a mid cap, we can't go just from the surface of the information, and we really have to go
Yeah.
deeper. It may be a lot of work, but I would like to see the contribution of BFSI and the geography together. I mean, in US, how much is coming from BFSI and other segments? You have shown the
Hmm.
other part, overall part, but I would like to see. I mean, probably I can join in if you want
Mm-hmm.
so support in this, but I would like to
Sure.
really look
We
into that.
did
Sure.
try to get that piece. We had anticipated quite a few of these questions, but let's deep
Mm.
dive more. We'll deep dive
Sure,
more.
sure,
Yeah.
Shelley. Yeah. Otherwise, I really loved it, and I mean, looks promising, but need to see more before investing because specifically from what I come from, I mean, I don't have a single IT company, and I have to choose wisely when I invest, and I am keen on mid cap, so just that's why I'm asking more questions. So yeah, that's it. Otherwise, very well presented and so much of information you have shared. So great job. Thanks.
Thanks, Lasya.
I'm just trying to see if there's anything that I can tell you right now. In terms of BF, the growth was left. So the recent quarterly report, they've mentioned BFSI as the growth was led by BFSI. Okay, and there's anything more? No, they have no. I don't have the number.
Not the
Okay.
combination of information that Lasya is looking for. That is presently not available with us. Yeah.
Last,
Okay.
last year, just a little bit of that information, even LTI has partnered. So there is
Hmm.
Salesforce, there's AWS, there's Google
Hmm.
Cloud. A lot of these companies have these as standard partnerships.
Yeah.
So that may not be the standout factor, but then how many clients it caters to using this platform may.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what actually. I mean, how much revenue is it generating because of this partnership? Probably
Mm-hmm.
we can get. Yeah.
I couldn't get for Mindtree at least.
Okay. Okay. ठीक है.
Yes.
Let's see. मिलता है तो ठीक है वरना we'll adjust with other information.
मिलेगा मिलेगा उसके AR में सब कुछ है दिख रहा था मेरे को, but then yeah, you just spend like a lot of time.
And their assets seem to have reduced over the years from the financials that I just quickly glanced through. What do the asset comprise of, and why they have reduced is one more thing. Because
कम
ideally
हुआ है
assets,
मतलब?
intangibles वगैरह तो valuable है ना. I saw decrease हो रहा है ना. Sorry, property, plant and equipment especially. अच्छा ये तो tangible है. But still थोड़ा सा decline हुआ है. I don't know what exactly. I mean, they have data centers, right? Data centers है ना इनके पास.
They have
And data
development.
I
centers I
think ये
think
decrease
falls
हुआ है
Development में.
after the whole cloud partnerships, मुझे ऐसे लग रहा है.
So intangibles increase okay. नहीं, intangibles भी increase नहीं हो रहा है वैसे तो. देख सकते हैं वैसे. Let's see. एक बार ये एक्सेल शेयर कर देना शीतल ग्रुप पे.
ठीक है, I will. Okay. Is this it?
That's it from my side, so you can relax for the day.
Great questions, yeah, Lasya. Great questions. Thanks for bringing them up.
Thanks, Shelly.
So we have a few slides in the backup of the deck, and it's saved on Box. And you can kind of go through them at your own pace. It's basically about the accomplishments in Q1, Q2. Just a bit of more info flowing your way. We could have taken probably another 1 hour if we would have gone that route. So we decided not to. Interesting
Yeah,
company.
this was great, guys. Let's wrap it up.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for showing up, and
Thank you.
see you. Bye bye.
Shelly,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you so much.